welcome to Talk. Today we have a two-man panel.
Woo!
Self. Awesome. I'm actually kind of looking forward to a nice in-depth discussion. Things we like. So starting out that discussion with things like competitive.
Yes.
Thoughts, feelings, excitement. Go on, Dylan.
So, well, we had first off, a lot of what we're going to talk about today can be found in the Eurogamer article that features the discussion with Jeff Kaplan. If you want to catch up and read on that, definitely do. It's a great article. Good questions, good answers. We're really going to be moving through that thing on many different points. So, if you want to stay the most informed, obviously listen to us and then go read the article. But definitely read the article if you've got the time and the inclination. So, let's talk about competitive mode, what it means, what they're thinking of, and what's different from the beta as we had it. Now, what they have said is that there is no defined method we know yet to establish the wins and losses. So we know what they did in beta, which was essentially attack and defense. You either attack successfully or defend successfully or not. You get a 0.10 either way. And then if there's a tie, you go into a control point map to settle a tie. For King of the Hill / what do we call it? What do we call Nepal? Is it like
Control point?
Control point. Is that the official title of it?
Pretty sure.
Okay, so for the King of the Hill control point maps, God, I feel like that's the wrong word.
Let's go ahead and
yeah. So
find
for
out.
those maps, it's a first to 3 wins. So when we talk about those, that's essentially the standard they had for setting who won that map. And they're control maps. Control is the word.
Yes.
So it's not control point, it's control. There we go.
There is control that name. I just added points. Okay? Which you get for controlling.
Fair enough. Okay. So that's how we establish wins and losses. So we have not heard if they have changed the system. They got a lot of feedback from users, from the community, from the pro player community, that was not, suitable for this to be a competitive game and for it to be an esport. So we don't know yet how that's going to change, but we're pretty sure it's changing. Final form on that, don't know. We'll have to wait till later this month when they release competitive. What we do know is a little bit more about how your competitive ranking will go. So essentially the system we had previously with the pre-beta, or with the beta, not the pre-beta. In the closed beta, we had essentially, you had a system very similar to what I'd say Hearthstone is, where you win and you rank up. Or actually, no, it's similar more to low-level League of Legends, I think is fair. Where once you go up a tier, you couldn't go back down. No matter how much you lost, you could not go down that tier. So essentially you had 5 stars in every tier and you had to build up enough XP from winning to go up a star. Losses take away XP. You could go down stars, but you couldn't go down a tier. So essentially once you got a tier, that was enough. Players worried that the fact that you could not go down tiers would essentially lead to everybody reaching at least a certain level. That effectively it wasn't punishing people enough, and that would be problematic for the competitive scene. And the team at Overwatch has agreed with that. So they will be taking the system and removing that wall that didn't allow you to go down tiers. So in between tiers, like say the first tier, I think is Challenger, and it moves to Advanced. So in the old system, once I got to Advanced, no matter how bad I did, no matter how many games I lost, I would never leave the Advanced tier. But now, if I lose enough, if I am bad enough in the advanced tier, I can be thrown back down into challenger. And the thought process here from the Overwatch team was that obviously we want you to earn whatever placement you're in. We want to make sure that this is representative of how well you play the game and the games that you've played. We don't want everyone to essentially earn a standard. Just like in Hearthstone, not everyone's legendary, and that's okay. So that's how the competitive structure will work. And then the next aspect everyone I'm sure is asking is, what will seasons look like? In the closed beta, a season was essentially 1 month. Upon feedback, everybody thought that that was not necessarily the best idea. It would become very difficult to reach a lot of the higher rankings in the Overwatch competitive standard unless we were playing considerable amounts of games a day. Like, I mean, a couple of people were trying to crunch numbers and coming up with, like, you'd need to play 6 to 8 hours a day to reach the higher echelons. So we're extending season lengths. According to Jeff Kaplan in the Eurogamer interview, we're going to be looking at 3 to 4 month seasons. More likely 3 months to fit the actual seasons of a calendar. So think you'll have like maybe a winter, spring, summer, and fall seasons. Makes it a little bit easier to comprehend, makes it a little bit easier to swallow. Plus, it gives people genuinely enough time where they're going to be more easily able to reach the high echelons if they so deserve it. So get to see the full, specs. We're gathering as much from these interviews and as much as they've said as possible. But that's where competitive sits in the news today. So Bizzle, what are your thoughts on this news?
One, very glad. Month was simple. Even in Hearthstone, it's real. But
you mean you don't like Sisyphusian effort of just going up the hill constantly?
Like, I used to try in Hearthstone, get really high, and then I was like, it's gonna like not matter, and like, just silly. So, but that I'm really happy about, and I just really wasn't happy with competitive at all. Data. I didn't play it. I didn't play it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to know from is, what are your how do you feel about the league rank? How do you think?
So, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with it. I think, they've taken away a lot of the punishment at the lower level, which I think is good. I mean, a lot of what people have problems with in League of Legends is if you are a bad player, you cannot get out of bronze. It is difficult. Like, I mean, I've had friends who I thought were, moderate, like at least silver, gold level. And for those of you that don't know the league ranking system, it goes bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, then master challenger is this like elite tier that's cordoned off to X number of players. But bronze is essentially the lowest portion, and I think it's the second highest proportion of players. Silver is, I think, the biggest proportion of league players. But the problem is at bronze, because it is a team game, even if you improve yourself while playing bronze, it can be tough to escape because essentially 4 of your teammates are bad. So it's this compounding thing. They call it Elo hell. That's a little over dramatic. I mean, good players can escape. It is just harder than it should be at times. So what they've done is they've made it so losses do not hurt you at low levels, at least from what we had in the closed beta. No clue whether those penalties have been taken away for this new segment, but there were no penalties in Challenger. Like, no matter how many games I lost in Challenger, I never got a negative effect. It just allowed me to essentially play games, get wins, and eventually I made it up to Advanced. In Advanced, if you lost essentially these levels. So I think it's nice to give players this early time in competitive where they don't feel like the immediate effects of a negative loss. Because in League, it was there and apparent from the very beginning. You played what they call 10 placement matches that essentially place you where you are in the spectrum. So some years I did really well. Like one year, I think I went 8-2 in my 10 placement games, and I got gold 5. So I was like, yes, sweet. I set all of my expectations for ranked for the year and played no ranked afterwards because that was all you needed. They give one skin away at the end of the year if you make gold. And I'm like, I want the skin. Great. Made gold. There was no penalty for you being in gold. You couldn't time out of gold. So like if I made gold, that was it. That was end of season. So if you ever see my account on League of Legends, you'll see that gold banner around it, and you'll know I did the least amount of effort to get that gold banner that I could. But yeah, so I'm interested to see what the rewards will be for achievement, because I think, while it's great to say, hey, I was advanced or heroic this season. Heroic, I think, is like the top tier. I'm not sure essentially what our tier listings are, but essentially what the rewards are, because that's what drives my effort into it, at least. I mean, hopefully it's more loot boxes, because that's what we all need. It's like crack. You need more of it. There will never be enough. So I'm waiting to see what the reward structure is. But ideally, I think it's struck a good balance. I think, you're less punishing to the early players. You're not putting a lot of stress into, your first 5 games in ranked, saying that that'll determine your immediate experience for like the next month. So I think it's a happy place. We all start from the bottom. We all build up. We all have the same experiences, roughly. And we'll see where we go from there. Bigger issue I have is starting off with dynamic queue. So, Chris, have we talked about dynamic queue before?
I don't have.
So let's talk about dynamic queue for those that don't know. So when you have these big team games, like MOBA games, there are many ways to queue into a game. So you can team up, and this has been evident in past MOBAs, and it's changed recently. Those of you who are League of Legends fans obviously know this dynamic queue debate, and I'm sure, kids in Dota and some of the other MOBAs also know this similar system, but we're going to explain it for those that don't. So in League of Legends, the way it used to be is what we had solo queue, where you could go into a game and this was in ranked, it was its own queue, and you could only go in as either just playing by yourself or with one friend. So essentially, 3 to 4 members of your team had to be complete strangers, which made it difficult. It was more a question of your skill and your ability to team up with random people rather than your ability to act on a team of people you know and can coordinate with. And at the same time, while you had solo queue, which was supposed to be this judgment of your singular person skills, there was ranked 5s as a different queue, where you would have to team up with 4 other people, play the game, and play another team of 5. So there was no in between. If you had 3 friends online, you were shit out of luck. You weren't playing competitive. If you had 2 friends online, same issue. So what Riot's moved to this past year is what they call dynamic queue. And in dynamic queue, you can queue into competitive with any number of friends. So, for example, if I have 2 friends, that's great. We'll queue up and we'll be sent into game for competitive. Now, the way this works is that the server ideally tries to match you up with groups of equal standing. So if we have a 3-person group and a 2-person group, it'll try and match you up against another 3-person, 2-person group. Or if I have 3-1-1, it'll try and match me up against 3-1-1. Now, in times where it cannot match your group evenly, like let's say you have the 3-1-1, it can be hard to fill a 3-1-1 from the other side. So it may say, you know what? Instead, we're going to put you against a 2-1-1 or a 2-2-1. I think I missed a 1 in the 2-1-1.
You did.
Yeah, I did. But because they have smaller group sizes in their matchups, we're going to raise the rank of those players to equal out the ability of your coordination. So for everything, there's a balance and a weight, whether it's skill or group size. So everything's on this constant balance shifting scale, and you just try and balance it the best you can. It's hard to get perfectly right, and a lot of the guys at the high end of solo queue have said, if I'm not teaming up with four other guys, I'm just losing. Like there's no point in it. So, there's been debate whether this is good, whether this is bad. Riot's currently sticking at the format or sticking with the statement that they have seen benefits to dynamic queue, that they're going to keep it, and until, really the world sets on fire, they're not going to bring back solo queue or ranked fives. So they're all in the dynamic queue basket, and that's where we're sitting in as the Overwatch community. You will be able to queue in with as many friends as you want, and just know with the amount of people you queue in with, if it can't cleanly match you, that it may force you to play against better opponents who are not coordinated to play together. Now, there is one rub in this situation. So, one of the differences between League and Overwatch is in-game voice chat. A community of strangers in Overwatch has much better ability to communicate and to coordinate than a group of strangers in League of Legends. So if I am actually a highly skilled Overwatch player and I have good personal skills and can coordinate with a team via my voice chat, you have a pretty good chance that you can actually equal the coordination of, 3 or 4 people playing together. There's not that much information that needs to go through on a team in Overwatch. Really just communicate ultis together, communicate some timings, whether someone's blown something or whether someone's off the map. And that's really like the high level communication you need to go. I mean, very rarely until you reach like the high echelons are you really going to start target calling and, have double Winstons making sure that they're hitting the same target.
Yeah.
So I'm a little weary of dynamic queue here. Or not weary, wary. I'm weary of dynamic queue. But I'll wait and see. I'm not going to judge before it's out, and I'm not going to judge before I get any personal time on it.
Yeah. My question, okay. Talking about and with a solo player, right? So I've heard yes, you're nice, is that you can't really carry a team without playing flashy characters, right? You cannot carry a team. Playing Overwatch, I've kind of experienced, right? I kind of want your opinion on that.
So, yes, I agree with that statement. And one thing I want to add to that statement is Overwatch is a game that is designed that you should not be able to carry a team as a singular person. This is a teamwork-based game. Your ability to work with a team and to direct a team and coordinate with a team is supposed to be your most valued skill. Your ability to play Widowmaker is secondary to your ability to work with 5 other people. And that's a scary thing for a lot of Overwatch players, where it's not your mechanics, it's not your in-game decision making, it's your ability to talk to that guy across the internet and not be, a terrible person.
I mean, my question though is, I found myself in a lot of I am as Percy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have 5 other players who are just like bad. There's like one good player there, right? And I'm not that great at the game. I feel like
you're being let down by your team.
Yes, and I feel like if I tank, I'd be able to carry the team more. So I kind of disagree with that idea that you can't carry a team. I've kind of done it once or twice.
Right, but I mean, on the vast majority you can't. And listen, I understand the sentiment. I main support for a long time in League of Legends, so trust me, I know the feeling. And B, I play tank support in Overwatch. I mean, my most playeds are a mix of Symmetra, Reinhardt, Zarya, Winston, Mercy, and Lucio. And I'm trying to pick up Zenyatta to try and be like my happy medium of I need to be playing support, but I need to, add some damage here. But it's painful. Like, it sucks playing support when your team's not contributing. Like, when you're, and I mean, sometimes you feel even worse when you have, like, I've played a lot of games of Mercy where I have a Reinhardt and he's trying to put his shield out, he's trying to push out, but for some reason my Pharah's off, like, trying to flank from one side, our McCree's out trying to flank from the left, our soldier's already been picked off 10 meters behind us, and who knows, for some reason our Torbjorn on attack is setting up on a hill that no one's ever going to see. And yeah, it feels bad because you and that other guy, you now have this bond of we're slowly making the way to the point and there's no DPS with us. Like, this is only going to end poorly. So yes, I understand that feeling. It's legitimate. I mean, there are games that, you just don't feel you're going to win because, you're not the guy out there getting the kills. You're the one that's supposed to be supporting them to get the kills. And when, you can't support them to get the kills, it's just like, what am I doing? Why am I here? Why am I even,
You're there.
playing the support here?
You pull out your pistol, some Battle Mercy.
Well, yeah, you can become Battle Mercy, and that's great, for all the DPS that does. But in my opinion, if you have that feeling, then it is time to switch. And I'm going to be serious here. Overwatch is a game of shifting champions. If you, as a support, and even if you're the only support, feel that you are not adding enough to your team for your team to win, then that is reason for you to switch. Everyone that plays this game has a duty to do what they think they need to do to win the game and affect the game positively. If, as a support, your team is not moving the payload, and you feel that your contribution as support is not helping in some way, shape, or form, change. Go be a tank. Go be that extra DPS you think that is needed to be that special cog that's going to make the rest of your team work. I've had games where I've not done something as Mercy and Lucio, and I'll switch off to Zarya. Yes, Zarya is a more supportive style of tank, but I was not playing the support per se. And guess what? It worked out. I put down the CC ultimates that were needed, and my team was able to follow up. We actually won that game off the back of me switching off support to a DPS tank. Is it going to work every time? No. But I did what I thought the team needed to win. And if anyone had called me out, I was simply going to say, guess what? I was playing the support. We were not moving. We were not effectively pushing the payload. I needed to make a change, and I did. If anyone wants to call you out on that, great. That's up to them to do it. But for me, I have a clean conscience. I know I did everything I needed to do to win that game. So guess what? That's the way the cookie crumbled. I played a tank DPS instead of a support. I'm all for it.
Well, that we have the...
Yeah, I know. This is the personal gripe between Bizzle and I. This is our feelings. This is our confession corner this week. Hi, how are you? We're going to talk about the feelings of supports and tanks today. We'll be taking your calls all day to discuss your innermost problems. Is McCree dying during high noon? Is justice raining from above just too much? Does Tracer annoy the ever-living shit out of you? We're here to discuss that. Yeah, no, but I mean, seriously, like, it's an awful feeling. Oh, by the way, I will say, if your team is ever losing to a Tracer, like, if you ever feel like the Tracer is getting to your support too often, please, 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 if you are not the tank and you are not the support, if you're one of those DPS characters, please just switch to McCree. I'm not saying that you have to go out and be the flanker. You do not need to win a single duel. All you need to do is sit next to your support and flashbang every single tracer that comes at you. I'm sorry I had to like take a breath in the middle of that. But please, McCree can be a great defender for your backline. Like, it's really funny to think of him in that role since everybody plays him so up front, so offensive. But he can keep your squishies alive better than almost any character in the game. Like, people want to use Mei for that and freeze people, that's great. If they're a tank, Mei is A-okay at doing that. But for defeating that Genji, for beating that Tracer, for beating that Reaper, McCree is the only like general rule of thumb. So tip for all of you hit players out there that know how to support your support. You do it with a McCree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Support the support. I mean, everybody's had a game where they've played against a support that was actually being helped by their team. And it is so frustrating. Like, I played against a Mercy. I picked Winston, which is my Mercy counter. I'm sure other people have better ideas how you want to counter Mercy. You can go play Widowmaker or Hanzo. I'm not going to care. But I dive the enemy backline. I try and run down the Mercy. Well, guess what? That Mercy had a McCree with her the entire game. Every jump in I did was met with flashbang, fan the hammer. I was shut out that entire game from getting to Mercy.
That is a perfect of like just take that train, like segue it.
Take that train now. Take that train
Okay.
now. Okay, that was a '90s rap song by Quad City DJ. I don't think anyone got that reference.
I didn't even get that. All right, so
I'm gonna ride the train. And ride
let's move on to the nerf / buffs that are coming.
Woo!
So as the tank players, nerfs not happen fast enough.
Yeah, and trust me, we aren't the only ones thinking that, Bizzle. The pro community has been screaming about McCree for over a month now. Like, he is just too strong. Now let's talk about this.
Yep.
And this is not an overall McCree nerf. This is not every number in his kit is going down. This is only Fan the Hammer. This is his right-click skill that empties all of his ammunition at once. So for those of you that have played against it, it's really strong. By really strong, I'm meaning it can do, I think, like close to 350 or 400 damage. Yeah, actually, no, I think each bullet is like 75 on a body shot. So times 6, you're looking at like... Yeah,
that's what you're looking at.
That'd be like 450? Yeah. Yeah, 450. So, that's most tanks already down. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, getting back onto this, Blizzard has agreed. That's ridiculous that he's melting tanks. His role, his design skill set is to be anti-mobility heroes. He is supposed to be your choice to stop Tracer, Genji, Reaper. All of those characters are supposed to be undone by McCree. Also, Soldier fits in that if you've got one of those sprinty soldiers that's trying to like run and gun around the map. Yeah, Call of Duty. So that's his intended design. Now, when we talk about his actual usage here, he is just your god of death. No matter where, no matter how you want to play him, he is viable. You need long-range hit scan. Great, does it. You need close-range melee. Great, does it. Medium-range damage. Great, does it. Huge game-breaking ultimate? You betcha. Everything about McCree outside of mobility is through the roof effective. So what they want to take away here is just his viability at close range against tanks. Once again, because his role is to use Flashbang Fan the Hammer to hit those high mobility heroes, your Tracers and your Genjis, they aren't changing anything else about the hero. He still will keep his long range hit scan. But what he won't be able to do is walk up, Flashbang Fan the Hammer, and kill a Winston, which he currently can do. Because it's Flashbang, Fan the Hammer, roll, Fan the Hammer. And you need to hit like maybe 60% of your shots to take down a Winston. That's a little too ridiculous. A DPS hero should not be winning a face-to-face fight against a tank, unless you're Reaper, who that's his intended design. He's walking around with shotguns. You know what's very effective at close range? Shotguns. You know what's not really an effective close range weapon? A 6-shooter pistol. Now, I could also go on here and say, you know what's not an effective long range weapon? A 6-shooter pistol, but we'll let that slide. He kind of needs the long range damage just to add hit scan elements to the game.
Cyber bullet. Okay. Those bullets they have a
They're super bullets.
Yeah, I fully agree with it. Happen.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be.
There shouldn't be a McCree in every game, and I feel that there is.
Yep, I feel that too. I shouldn't be wanting to play McCree when I have no right to, and I have no skill. Yeah. I shouldn't be like, well, we're losing. I guess I can play McCree.
This is going to make everything better, guys. Everything will be all right because I am now playing McCree.
It should not be a thing. And on top of that, to
Winston, to McCree, to Lucio.
Exactly. That's just
why change? Why change? If 100%. He's going to kill everything regardless of range, there's nothing you can do.
I play
Not
Soldier.
to mention the fact that he is one of the few heroes with a stun. A 1.6 second stun. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Just not gonna lie.
100%.
Okay, but I've overtalked the McCree here. There's another hero to talk about. Chris, intro the other hero that's in this discussion.
Genji.
No, Genji is not getting a nerf for a buff.
D.Va. Shit, yeah. I said the right one. No, I was gonna take this for a while.
Yeah, no, D.Va is the correct answer because D.Va is getting buffs, which we did not expect coming out of the beta. For those of you that did play in the beta, D.Va was actually nerfed pretty considerably to her survivability. And I think her damage was hit a little bit. They just made the fall off really, really short range.
Yep.
But they've decided, looking at D.Va, she's not really surviving well enough as she used to. They've said, you know what? We've heard a lot of people say that her damage isn't terribly consistent, but if you increase that damage a lot, given her mobility, it'd be kind of a nightmare. There would be no, mid-health hero or tank that was really going to survive it. You'd have to pretty much tenderize her with bastions just to get it done. So they've taken the stance that D.Va does need buffs, but it will not be in the damage department. They will be helping her with some survivability aspects, whether that's, increasing armor, maybe increasing the width of her defense matrix, or maybe the shape of her defense matrix. Something will change in that survivability department to make sure that she's staying in games and staying a viable hero.
Yeah. Okay, what are your thoughts on D.Va as a... What are your personal thoughts?
So for me, she really lacks a defined role. So she's not main tank, and I can't really say that she's tanky DP. She is tanky DPS, but her DPS feels on the lighter side to me for the range that she has to get in to do it. So she really has to get point blank to do any considerable damage, and expecting any hero in the game to stay still enough to stay in that range of hers is a little ridiculous in my mind. But it's important to note that I don't play her to her max capacity. She is an extremely mobile hero to be a tank. Just remember that dash is on a much shorter cooldown than you ever think it is. And if you give her someone who is really skilled at making sure that that dash is going off almost every time it's up, she can be a major headache. Not to mention the fact that she can, lose her mech suit, come out in pilot form, and put out some pretty decent DPS.
Yep.
So my main question to her is, what am I fighting with this hero? A couple of people have come up and said that she's a pretty good anti-Winston hero. That's technically like her role. A couple of people have said that she's great for going up against static defenders because she can essentially nullify an entire clip from a Bastion or really disable, say, a Torbjorn turret or undo some ults. She can eat Zarya ulti. She can eat Mei ulti. She can eat Reaper ulti if she gets the right positioning. So there's a lot she can do, and I think her high-end skill cap is actually pretty high, but on the low end, if we're looking at the floor, it's really hard to tell what she does.
Actually, out act feel. It for me, she is a character that, like, the jack of all trades, but never anywhere good like at any of them.
So you mean jack of all trades, master of none? Not trying to say the saying. You were trying to allude to an idiom and not say it.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, she's not like, she's my character that I pick when I'm filling, and we have a tank and a healer, and like every other character that I play, and I say, guess I'm playing Diva this game. Like,
wrong. Always play Zarya. Zarya, only true tank accomplice.
I'm really bad at that game.
I know. I've seen. We've had this discussion and played this game before.
Yeah, we've played games before where I'm bad. Okay, I'm real bad.
I don't understand. Like, floor wise, it's not that high of a champion, but that's different tangent.
You know what? I used to play Bastion was the only character I played, so I've gotten real far up in my abilities. Do you remember those days?
Old Bastion maining days.
Those are good days. Those are real good days. When I could eat while I played because all I needed was my mouse.
I heard a great story, or a great joke from Reddit, and it's why did a lot of Bastion mains become McCree mains? Do you know the answer, Bizzle?
I don't know.
Because they broke their left mouse button.
That's actually really good.
I know. It's like, damn, that is good. That is Reddit gold right there. That I'm seeing. I was angry. I was upset. I'm like, no, that's a good joke. That is a good joke. Good joke, man. I'm angry at the quality of your humor.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, back to this off this tangent of how bad I am at this game, right? So,
man, and Josh and Chris are somewhere like, we should be on this show.
Now, Chris doesn't play with me enough. Josh and Sean, they could tell.
That's it. You've been called out.
So, yeah, Diva, like, she's just like, I never find a good good character. She loves the character. Whenever somebody picks her, I'm like, okay, well at least you're not useless. I know you like she's a character. Somebody picks her, and I say, at least not going. I know. Uh, so I I don't know. Like I don't even think giving ability, right?
I mean, if I'm saying that she's a tank, and if that's the role I'm really fortifying her for, I'm okay with it. Making tanks eat more damage is effectively their job. I want her to go in there, be distracting, be able to take, a couple more hits from a static defender like a Bastion or a Torbjorn. Make it easier for the rest of her team to get in and put damage down on targets without receiving damage. I mean, that's the role I need those tanks to play.
I guess I'm also like used to Reinhardt team, like and play Diva. I'm just like, oh, I didn't even break top 3.
I will say, you will probably get top damage on Diva if you play her well more often than you should as Reinhardt. Okay, that's a tangent for another day. Now there is another character in talks of nerfs, and Bizzle, this will make you pretty happy because it's one of our least favorites.
Oh, is it May?
What?
May?
Nope.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Nope. May is one of my favorites, so definitely not in this category. It is our least favorite, the Widowmaker.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, so Widowmaker is under the radar, or is under the Blizzard radar for possible nerfs. Reason being, she kills too many supports. Now, given that is her role, that is, the intended purpose, but what they've said is that her intended counters of Tracer, Genji, and even, Hanzo and other Widowmakers to a point, they aren't being given the opportunity to actually be effective counters to her. The maps are not set up where necessarily the Tracers are able to get to the Widows effectively, and that, Genji's at their very basic. So once again, let's talk about people playing on the floor, not playing at the ceiling. So we're talking people playing at the very basic level of competition. That these Genjis are not essentially getting to these Widowmakers. Not to mention the fact that Widowmaker is actually a fairly agile hero. With her grappling hook, it's very easy for her to get halfway across a map very quickly, making it very difficult for certain, heroes that are tanky engagers to really get to her. Winston might not be able to chase her all the way across the map if he already used that jump to getting close to her. Now, given at the floor, Winston's a pretty good, counter to her, but her direct counters are supposed to be Tracer, they're supposed to be Genji, and they're not doing the job, at least according to what some of the Blizzard folks have been saying online. So, they have said that there is no planned nerf, but they are keeping her in mind, because the last thing they want is a Widow on Widow war to effectively win every game. This should not be the up from Call of Duty, and I would even venture to say that Widowmaker is worse than the up in CS:GO. Did I say Call of Duty? Wow. For shame. It is worse than the up in Call of Duty due to the fact that you can get a very quick second shot off from her sniper rifle. And truthfully, if I'm looking at ways I want to nerf Widowmaker, I'm saying, A, she needs to move a lot slower. Like, she needs to be McCree level slow. I mean, she's carrying what should be a heavy gun. I know it's not, a big gun all the time. It's not like she's carrying around a Beretta 50 cal. But for something that's supposedly, like, half chunking a Roadhog, it's got to be a pretty substantial gun. Also, I would be looking at her firing speed from her fully done sniper rifle. Like, I mean, I would not be opposed to that thing having a very significant A, kickback, and B, a very significant cartridge load. Like, almost bolt action, if it was possible.
I mean, or you could just lower the power rate. Power. You know what I
So
mean?
the amount of time it takes for her to charge to a full power shot. Right. For those of you that do not play Widowmaker or just don't know the hero at all, she is one of the two what we would term sniper classes in the game. She has a pretty prototypical sniper rifle, you know. It has a zoom in feature, and one of the things is to get her maximum powerful shot out of her sniper rifle, it has to charge to 100% in the scoped feature. So you have to stay scoped X amount of time in order to get the shot off. It helps as being kind of a quick scoping deterrent, even though people have figured out that if you charge up to 100 and release and bring back up, you can stay at 100 and effectively quick scope. Maybe that's kind of the slight nerf they'll look at for her, is making it so you can't do that. But any way you shake it, she's just too valuable on most teams. It's very rare that you'll see a competitive match where a Widow won't be pulled out at some point right now. I know we talked about the 2 McCree, 2 Winston, 2 Lucio composition. Well, just as likely as 2 McCree is McCree Widowmaker. And that's really, like, when I talk about the diversity of professional Overwatch, that's kind of max diversity right there, is switching out a McCree for a Widowmaker.
I mean, like, she is just really good, like, at the top level. Like,
yeah.
She is just incredibly good.
Like, her floor is pretty low because everything about her is aim. But at the same time, her ceiling is so astronomically through the roof right now.
Oh yeah.
That it's hard to contemplate not having her.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to a character is not in talks for I wanted Ada.
Zenyatta.
Yeah, who I think is worst of all. Thoughts on this? Feelings?
So I only feel bad about Zenyatta's position if Widow stays as powerful as she is. Because everything about Zenyatta is strong, but he is the most glass cannon like character in this game for support. Like, if he was glass cannon and just a DPS character, I would be okay with it. But for him to have a lot of his kit contained into healing and being the debuffer, it seems odd that he is as vulnerable as he is. He is the least self-sufficient hero in this game. He has the lowest health out of any hero. He's 150. I think Tracer is also 150. But he comes in with 0 mobility. He has to float. I mean, that's not a good thing. If we're talking about my ability to dodge things, being able to just jump around and float at a mild to slow speed is not helping me a bunch. And with his health, it is a body shot from Widow that takes him down. Not a headshot, a body shot. Also a body shot from a full charged Genji arrow. Both of which are heroes that are played to an annoying amount in solo queue. And unless you have a Reinhardt shield or a Winston shield helping you out, you are just completely vulnerable to anyone and everyone.
Yeah. I mean, on top of that, and this is my, I think, big problem with, is I think the floor for him is, right? I think
the floor is too high.
Yes. I think the skill floor is too high in that it is it is hard to play this character well at the low end.
Okay, so his floor is too low.
Sorry, his floor is too low. Yes, fine. Okay.
I can agree with that statement.
Okay. So,
because we can both agree, a good Zenyatta in a good team composition is frightening.
yeah, I agree. But okay, and this is a side tank rant. All right. So, we have
Tank rant.
tank rant. All right.
The spin-off of OverTalk.
So, whenever I'm playing have a Zenyatta as our number one, everybody goes, oh, it's fine. We don't need another support. We're good, right? Same thing they do with Cement.
False. 2 healers is always best.
100%. Okay, but like people that play Zenyatta at the end of the hill cannot. Like, they just don't. It's not on me for like 80% of the game. It's not on anyone.
Yeah.
Have you noticed this as well, or is this just like bad?
So it definitely takes a lot of effort to keep that orb on somebody because of the changes they made to him. So let's look at the nerf history here and just know that when a lot of the hyper mobility heroes like Genji, Tracer, and Reaper were in their prime, it was because they were enabled by a Zenyatta Orb of Harmony that was essentially deemed too strong because it would stay on you indefinitely. There was no cooldown. There was no way for it to come off unless Zenyatta either died or Zenyatta gave it to somebody else. So essentially what that would allow some teams to do is if they knew they had a really good Tracer or a really good Reaper, they could just throw it on them at the beginning of the match, and that would just kind of be there until they died if Zenyatta could stay alive. And it just made these flanking heroes almost unstoppable. I mean, think how hard a Tracer is to kill right now, and then imagine her gaining, I think it's like 12.5 health per second just cuz. So, on top of that, they also decided that his Orb of Discord was also too strong for the same reason. The fact that not only did it stay on you indefinitely, but it also marked you to Zenyatta. So you turn that corner and try and wait for him, he knows you're there. He knows what you're doing. So if he found a target that he decided was high priority, he could throw it on you, and it was just there for you the entire rest of the game until he decided to throw it on somebody else or died. And for certain heroes like Roadhog, that was almost a damning ability because you were just stuck taking 50% more damage from everyone for the rest of the game. By the way, which also supercharged enemy team ultimates out the door. Yeah. So it's like, it's hard for Discord or Harmony to really go either way. I could see a lot of people have said, you know, we understand that Discord is not the one you want to see get any stronger, but they're like, at least give Orb of Harmony 6 seconds before it's recalled. For those of you that I need to explain this for, Orb of Discord will stay on you for 3 seconds at a time, or it'll stay on you as long as you are visible, and then once you are out of Zenyatta's line of sight for 3 seconds, it'll return to Zenyatta. Same thing for Orb of Harmony. As long as he sees his target, it'll stay there, but the second they're out of sight for more than 3 seconds, it goes away. So, what does that tell us about Zenyatta? That unless you are really in the fray, which remember, he is 150 health hero, unless you are in the fray directly staring down the people you should be healing and debuffing, all of your heals and all of your debuffs will go away. So it's
kind of a bad DPS that.
Yeah, it becomes very difficult to do what you feel you're supposed to be doing knowing that you really have no way to trade your safety. You're just going to have to go in there and hope that no one's going to focus you down. Which, when you're a slow floating robot monk that's sitting in the butterfly position, guess what? You're going to get focused down pretty easy. You're not a hard target to hit.
Yeah, I I agree with all this stuff. Like it is so hard to play that character. I I'd really like. It's hard to make him a little bit. I'd love.
A lot of people have said 200 health. I can kind of agree with that. That at least takes out the Widow body shot as a kill. But that still means Widow headshot would be a kill. So, not the end all be all of fixes. But what I will say is I think Zenyatta has one thing that a lot of people look over. And it's mainly because, a lot of people play him as this weird, like, DPS hero. Because, I mean, if you really stack Orb of Discord on someone, you can be as effectively DPS as almost anyone else. But against static defenders, especially on the last points of the game, Zenyatta's ultimates on a hard pushing team can push past a Torbjorn Molten Core like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
I think it's so underrated that direct. I call it a soft counter, where it's really his ultimate is one of the few that I think really does well against the Torbjorn Molten Core, which I'm sure a lot of people have grown very tired of. I mean, who here hasn't played against a team that stacked 5 Torbjorns? It's infuriating. Like, there's never enough damage to take out 5 Torbjorns when they alternate who's molten coring. You can't wait it out.
Every time I hear Molten Core, it's like, oh, we'll wait on this.
Yeah, it's like, oh, great. There's 10 seconds where nobody's going to go out and play.
Really that. Anyways, yeah. Corp against Molten Core is hard. I think that's all the time we have, actually.
Did I talk a full hour?
You talked for like at least 55 minutes. I'm pretty impressed. Also, I'm almost positive my microphone wasn't working for the first 10 minutes of the podcast. This is gonna be
wow. So people now just also think I'm crazy. That's glorious. Hey, it's Pepitas, the guy who talks to himself and thinks he has friends.
We will figure it out in post. And by post, I mean, Chris, have fun with this. Anyways.
Oh, save me now.
It's fine. I'll fix it. But yeah. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything?
Anything else in the community? No, actually, I think that's about it. No major changes in the pro scene. We've covered. Oh, one big piece that I really do want to touch on. So we're gonna run a little long.
Okay.
They did make a statement about how heroes will be released in the future.
Okay.
And it is that heroes will be released one at a time. So what are your thoughts, Chris?
Like, disappointing. If it's a steady flow of them, I will. But at the same time, if it's a DPS hero, I'm gonna be like, okay, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gonna be weird. Like, word in this game, right? Like, it's gonna be like us who are fill players. Accurate. Yes, we're playing those.
Yeah, I mean it's always interesting, and a lot of people say it's very disruptive to say solo queue. It's disruptive to the public servers because once a new hero is released, everybody wants to play the new hero. I mean,
That's
that's the general rule. I mean, we used to see it with League of Legends a lot. Whenever a new hero was released, I mean, it was either played in every game in solo queue or it was banned in every game. And it was always disruptive in some way, shape, or form. It used to be way back in the days, like I'm talking 3-4 years ago. Whenever Riot would release a hero, they would actually limit your ability to create custom games just for yourself, because so many people would create a custom game just so they could play with bots by themselves playing the hero, because server traffic was too high. Because essentially, instead of 10 people getting together to play one game, they would have 10 people playing 10 different games.
I mean, that too, and I actually that, but what that didn't even cross my mind. But like, yeah, that's gonna be real bad. Like, but I don't think it would be solved by releasing 2 heroes at a time. Like,
No, and actually, I mean, you have to take them at their word here. They're taking this as a learning of when they released Genji, D.Va, and Zarya as that trio, because they all released together.
wait, Zarya released?
I believe so. Yeah, that was the post BlizzCon
That
grouping.
was May.
No, that was Mei, Genji, and Zarya. Oh wait, no. It was Mei, Genji, and D.Va. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Oh, good.
Okay, Mei, Genji, D.Va, and they all released as a 3-person patch, and they just said it was overly disruptive because it was very hard to balance the 3 heroes, since all 3 of them were imposing their chaos on the world. Like, I mean, if you think about how hard balancing one hero in this game is, throwing 3 of those giant variables into the game at the same time and saying you completely understand the reason why one thing isn't working as intended, it's kind of maddening.
Yeah, I get that. But I mean, we're gonna have 6v6 with his new hero, which I mean could be fun.
Yeah.
Quick play is gonna be interesting.
I mean, it's definitely a give and take. I mean, releasing heroes is kind of the necessary evil of this evolving game as a service industry, where, guess what? There's no perfect solution here. I mean, if they release 3 heroes, then guess what? You're going to end up with a 6v6 of 3 different heroes. I mean, it's just going to happen. Now, what a lot of people are saying is, hey, this would be fine if the first person out the door is a support, and more importantly, another healer. Then most people are actually going to be okay with it. They've said, you know what, we need just one other healer, because they're getting tired of Mercy Lucio, Mercy Lucio, Mercy Lucio. To which I say, guess what? Go out there, be ballsy, and play a Symmetra.
Not a healer.
I don't care. I'm
saying
giving everyone shields and making your death worth less.
Stop saying it's a healer.
Not a healer. But guess what? It's a support. Does the job of a support. And guess what? I do more damage than most supports.
Defense character.
Okay, whatever.
Defense character.
So a lot of people say they want to support. I can kind of dig that. I mean, it's the most underrepresented class in the game right now. Only 4 supports. Everyone else has 5 to 6. So I'm hoping the support's coming. But we should know more about the next hero they've said in the next month or 2.
Now, my question is this, and already over time, but ever.
When have we adhered to a time clock that religiously?
Always. So, what else can they do with a healer? We already have a heal over time, a hot healer, heal over time, right? And we also have a direct healer. Like, what other option is there?
I mean, I wish a lot of people have said they want a burst healer. So essentially someone that comes out and hits you with like 200 health immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I mean, that is a difference.
That is a
I
different.
kind
You are
of,
correct. I did ask that question, and you answered that.
yeah. And I mean, a lot of people have said they want essentially a more viable soldier heal, where they want something, hitting a little bit harder, but does that, you know, AoE area sort of heal, which I mean is also like Zenyatta Ultimate, but we'll move past that. Um, but a lot of people have also asked that there would be someone that could maybe build structures. So think like maybe a more useful May wall. Like if you could actually lay down a road or something in the sky.
Okay.
So a lot of
Cleansed
people
me.
have said the hard light technology that we see for Symmetra is kind of like useless to her thematically. Whereas if we used it like Symmetra in the comic can just build roads out of nowhere.
Okay, got it.
So imagine being able to build stairs up to high platforms for any hero of your team's choosing.
Okay.
That's a tremendously valuable support skill. It would be, but is it? Would we let the fear of this being hard to balance stop us from potentially exploring a cool dynamic?
That's why I'm not.
This is why I'm not in charge of hero design.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, I like all these ideas. I really want first healer, like, kind of getting. I don't know. That's the next one. That one.
Next week on Overtalk, crazed ramblings of Bizzle and Dylan.
No, that's this week. Next week is probably the rest of the cast, hopefully.
Yeah, actually, I think we're probably taking next week off, if I'm being completely honest. I know that a lot of us will be at E3
When does E3 start?
next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
Yes, Tuesday through Thursday, I believe.
I guess I am hosting OverTalk by myself.
Which otherwise means we will probably not have Overwatch next week, so please tune in 2 weeks.
Is Cable going to? Is Cable going to?
Yes.
John may not be going.
John doesn't do these things. Okay.
Anyways,
The audience doesn't know John. We shouldn't be talking about John.
okay. Anyways, this has been awesome. Thank you, Dylan, having this praised rambling discussion with.
Oh yeah,
great.
it's been fun.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go stream, and audio listeners. One thing I will remind everyone to do this show, please rate and and next week or 2 weeks. Bye.